Hey, everyone, students, Mr. Yas, first day of the new trimester, part B. So we're going to start with photosynthesis, which is one of the most important processes that you'll learn in biology. Without photosynthesis, none of us are here. Plants can survive without us. We certainly cannot live without them. So they not only give you all the food that we eat, they also give us all the oxygen that we breathe every single day. So we're going to go through photosynthesis. I'm not going to go into great detail like I would in my Bio 2 dual credit course, but I do want you to know the general processes involved with producing energy, producing food, and giving us energy and giving us oxygen, how all that works. So I've attached some notes, a little different maybe this time than we've done in the past. I went ahead and printed out the notes, not a lot of notes. We're going to do a foldable on next week, Monday. And we will kind of break this process down into different steps, and you'll write things in there. So for notes this time, we're going to highlight anything I have in blue or red. So let me bring up that first slide. So if it's in red, highlight it, and that's what's going to be on the test in a couple of weeks. So let's start with energy. You really can't understand photosynthesis unless you understand how energy works and a little bit of chemistry and a little bit of physics. We got three sciences tied in with the photosynthesis process. So energy uses potential energy stored in a simple molecule called glucose. So ultimately, energy is coming from the sun. It's coming down 100,000 miles per second. And a plant is able to capture that sunlight. Now, I do want you to understand glucose is our representative molecule. Plants can produce other types of sugars. It's not just glucose. They can make starch. They can make sugar cane. Can obviously make a sucrose. So, we talked about monosaccharides, disaccharides, and those types of things in chapter 2. So, understand that we're just using glucose as kind of the universal representative of the sugar that photosynthesis produces. Okay. Now, if you look at a textbook definition of photosynthesis, so you're looking it up in a biology book or whatever, this is what you get: a series of chemical changes that transforms or organizes inorganic carbon dioxide and water, simple molecules, into organic food. Okay, so what's different with the plant is they're able to go from simple and make something complicated out of it. That is very difficult to do. Okay. We, on the other hand, do a lot of the opposite. We take in food, break it down into simpler forms. So they're going from simple to complex, which is really, really important you understand that. And they're using photons of light, little packets of energy from the sun. So we call those photons. They're coming down. They're hitting that leaf, and chlorophyll is able to absorb that sunlight. Now, remember, plants can't use sunlight any better than you and I can. They're just able to convert it into a usable form of energy called glucose. We can't do that. So we call plants autotrophs, and the reason we call them autotrophs is because they're able to make their own food. Okay. Now, the other process that utilizes energy is what we do, and that's respiration, which is a series of chemical reactions that change or release that potential energy in glucose. So we'll get to that next chapter. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that right now. What I want to kind of just dive right into is the process called photosynthesis. So you can see we can break that word down into three parts. Photo means light, syn, S-Y-N, means with, and thesis means putting together. So it's putting together with light if you go backwards. So photosynthesis is actually pretty well named. And the reason it's pretty well named is because that is what exactly it does. It takes light and we put together glucose, which is a food. So we're building that complex substance from simple substance. So let's look at the general chemical equation for photosynthesis that you really need to know. So highlight this. We're going to put this in our foldable next week and going to refer to it often. Okay. So we got 6 CO2. So the leaf, I'll show you this later in notes. The leaf has these little openings called stomatas that open and close. So they open up and they let CO2 in. They let oxygen out. Water's coming up from the xylem, from the root system. So we're bringing in CO2 from the air, water from the root system. We combine a little light energy, photons, with that. And what you get spit out the other side for products. is C6H12O6, which is the fancy word or chemical equation for glucose. You get 6O2, and we get 6H2O. Now, this is a very balanced equation. We have to have balanced equations in chemistry. You'll learn this when you take chemistry. But as you can see over here, I got 6 carbons. If I come over here, I have 6 carbons. Kind of stay with me here. I have 12 oxygens plus 12 more oxygen, 24. Here I have 6, 12, which is 18, and 6 more. You got to use that number in front, is also 24. And then I have 24 hydrogens, which you can add up over here and you get 24. So we have the same, because matter and energy is conserved. Remember, we talked about that in chapter 2 as well. So photosynthesis is that nice balanced equation. What's nice is plants will not use oxygen. It's a waste product. We don't like to think we're breathing in plant waste, but we do every day. Okay. Water is also a waste product. It gets released into the air. That's what causes our wonderful humidity when it's 90 degrees. It feels like it's 200 in Indiana. That is a waste product as well. Okay, and I'll show you how all that kind of plays out when we get further into notes. But this is what a plant's mainly after, is this glucose. So we're taking this energy from light, trapping it in this compound that we can use for energy later on, and we can use as well. Okay. The other thing I kind of wanted to start with, so this is just introductory notes, is, we talked about chlorophyll. It's one of those chloroplasts. It's that green pigment we talked about in the cell chapter. It's able to trap radiant energy from the sun. It has to be present, so photosynthesis will not take place unless it's in the presence of chlorophyll. And there's 2 types of chlorophyll. There's chlorophyll A and there's chlorophyll B. Okay, pretty easy to remember that. Chlorophyll A absorbs a little bit of blue, but mainly red and violet. I'll talk about that later too. And it is directly involved in the light reactions of photosynthesis. If chlorophyll A is not present, photosynthesis does not work. Bottom line, okay? So chlorophyll A is the main pigment. So our deciduous trees, our maples, our oaks, and those types of trees you see out in the woods that are losing their leaves right now, long ago, when the temperature started to drop and the days got shorter, chlorophyll A faded, and then of course xanthophyll and carotenes and all those came through, and you can see them now. But photosynthesis is stopped in those trees, and that's why, because chlorophyll A is kind of that substance that if it's there, photosynthesis is working. If it's not there, photosynthesis is not taking place. Okay. Chlorophyll B absorbs mainly blue light. Now, chlorophyll B is just an accessory. It cannot do photosynthesis by itself, okay? And you can see there's where we're absorbing all that energy, a little bit here, mostly in the blue. That's why we don't have blue and purple trees, because they're taking in that light and using it for photosynthesis. So I want to go through today and then a little bit on Monday, just getting this background stuff in you. So then when we start putting together these steps and talking about the foldable, and you're starting to see, oh, this is step 1 of light reaction. This is step 1 of the light independent reaction. We got light dependent and light independent. You'll see where I'm going with this. So hopefully this lays the foundation that we're going to build upon later on. So I will put some notes on next week. Probably going to be shorter notes, or I may have 2 days worth of notes on one, because in class I have 30-minute periods because we're doing wonderful I-step testing. So in NWEA, so we're going to be testing all next week, and then that week after that we only have 2 days because that's Thanksgiving. So kind of stay tuned and stay with this and highlight your notes that I've attached. If you need to come in and pick up a note packet from me because you can't print it off, feel free to. Or you can actually just bring it up on your computer and highlight it that way too. It's totally up to you. Okay. So hey, have a good day, and we will see you later. See you. Bye.